Yeah, I can hear you.
Hey Josh, you there? Brian, can you guys hear me? Just want to make sure my audio is working correctly.
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, perfect. I'll give everybody just a minute or two to get in here. It seems like we still have a few that are coming in, and then we'll start up. So if you guys don't already have it, please go ahead to fegtoken.com, go to the documents section of the site, and click on the TRS document. It should be the second one to the left. And I'll be going through that document today. We're going to cover the first 12 pages of the TRS document, and then tomorrow I will host another one of these. The time is to be determined. I'm going to try to stagger the time so that, today we're doing it at noon here in the Pacific Standard Time, but I may do it so that certain time zones are covered tomorrow that weren't covered exactly today. I know the Philippines, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning, they were saying, so I want to make sure that I'm fair with the distribution of the times. But today will be recorded as tomorrow's as well. So we're going to go all the way through just the basics of FEG, the tokenomics today. We're going to go through the staking, some LP stuff, the FRAP reward systems, and Smart Swap, and then all the different functions inside of Smart Swap, which includes peer-to-peer functioning and swap-to-swap. So we will go over those in just a minute. We'll give about one more minute for people to join in. I'm also going to try to make this session a little more interactive. So once I get through a certain topic, I'm going to ask if there's any questions. So if you have a question, please raise your hand. I want to make sure that everybody understands all these, all the different things that are going on in the project. There are many updates. Tomorrow is going to be a very deep diving session as well, because we're going to get into all of Smart DeFi, the gas rebates, the fees. So tomorrow is going to be a very detailed day. So today will be, it'll be detailed, but it's going to be a warm up for tomorrow's session, definitely. All right, guys, well, it's 12:06, so we're going to start off. We're going to begin with just the overview of what FEG is. So many of you know, and those of you that are not, we are a multi-chain decentralized project. We are on the Ethereum and the Binance Smart Chains. We are a hyperdeflationary project, meaning that in the beginning of the project, we had 100 quadrillion circulating supply, where we burnt 50% of that supply on both chains when they were launched. They were launched 2 weeks apart. So on the Ethereum side, on January 31st, 100 quadrillion tokens were deployed, but 50 quadrillion of those were burnt, meaning that now every time there's a transaction, we have a 2% tax. When you buy, sell, transfer FEG, when you move it into staking, out of staking, when you move into liquidity pool or out of liquidity pool, when you move it into the Smart Swap ecosystem that we'll talk about tomorrow, and when you remove it from Smart Swap ecosystem, which we'll also discuss tomorrow. So what that means is that because the 50 quadrillion were burnt, they are in a renounced burn address. And so that burn address consumes a portion of the 2% of the tax every time the transactions occur. So as that burn address gets larger, it was initially taking 1% and there was 1% to the community, but as that burn address gets larger, it consumes more of that. Roughly 1.2% goes to the burn address currently for both chains, and 0.8% goes to the community as a distribution, frictionlessly directly into your wallet or into your staking pool, depending if you are staked in version 2 of staking as of now as well. Outside of that, I just want to give a moment for anybody who has a question to raise their hand and get this further explained. Just allowed a couple of you to speak, so if you have a question, go ahead and ask. Well, I muted a couple people, but I don't have anybody who's speaking, so I'm just going to continue on. So we'll move to page 3, which is FEGX explained. So we just spoke about FEGX. So FEGX is our exchange, FEG exchange. It's a multi-chain decentralized exchange that runs, again, like I just spoke on, the Ethereum and the Binance Smart Chains. We are building a cross-chain bridge that's going to allow FEG token as well as other tokens to trade cross-chain. So from the Ethereum side to the Binance Smart Chain side as of now, we are going, any token that wants to trade on the cross-chain is going to need to place liquidity specifically for the bridge itself. So outside of your token liquidity, you'll have to move liquidity to the bridge for each chain, and they'll be able to swap them back and forth at a US dollar value. It is not at a 1-to-1 ratio, it's at a US dollar value. So when you do this, when we create the bridge, it's going to be the beginning of our exchange being centralized, decentralized exchange, CEX, DEX. And what that means is that when you initiate a trade, it's decentralized. When that trade is going cross bridge, it has to be done on a server because the logic cannot be done in a smart contract. So it's going to go from your decentralized space to the server, do the cross bridge transaction, and then back out into decentralized space. So the only transaction that's occurring on a server is the swap on the cross-chain bridge. So I just wanted to clarify that. If I have anybody who has any questions about the basic tokenomics of FEG or the exchange at a very basic level, we're about to start into the staking, which is about 3 pages of information. So just give you a moment to ask any questions. I don't have any hands up. So I'm going to continue on to staking then. So we're going to begin on page 4 of the TRS document here. So for those of you that are new that just joined in, we have started on we're going to start on page 4 now. If you go to fegtoken.com under the documents section, you can find the TRS document. It's the second from the left. And we're going to begin on page 4 here. So the staking reward system, we are now in version 2 of staking rewards. So we'll discuss version 2. So every sell transaction that occurs on FEGX is going to provide 0.15% of the sell transaction fee from every token launched on the following base pairs. So this means that on the FEG BSC side, any token that's base paired against FBNB, FUSDT, which is the BEP20, and FBCB is going to give 0.15% of their sell transaction fee to the staking pool, the FEG BSC staking pool. Because the chains are separate, the reward distributions are also separate. Now, for the FEG ETH side, the FEG ERC, you have any token that's base paired against FETH, FUSDT, which is the ERC20 version, or FBTC. They're all going to have 0.15% of their sell transaction fee that goes to the FEG ETH staking reward pool. Now, I don't want it to be confused with the Smart DeFi. We're going to go down to the Smart DeFi percentages in just a second. This 0.15% was recently changed. This is a new update. So it used to be 0.12% on all of those base pairs, but now it is going to be 0.15%. So we also have Smart DeFi that's coming out. That's going to be our launch pad with our rug-proof tokens that the token itself holds all of its own liquidity. It's unruggable. It's completely trustless. We're going to have pre-sale functions inside of there as well. And all tokens that launch on Smart DeFi are going to be base paired against FETH or FBNB at this current time. So that means that every token that launches on Smart DeFi, because they're base paired against FETH and FBNB, which falls under the 3 base pairs, they're also going to be pushing rewards to the FEG staking pool for both chains independently. So every time there's a sell transaction, it's going to provide 0.12% to the FEG staking pool. Now, every time that a token launches off the Smart DeFi platform, 0.5% of its sell transaction fee is going to be going to buying and burning FEG token, and that's going to go directly. That's one transaction that occurs. Now, I want to get down to the staking distribution, with the thresholds and the distribution when it occurs, and we'll finish page 4, and then I'll ask if anybody has any questions here. So, with the distribution, anytime we have to have a threshold that's reached in the rewards prior to the distribution, and this is to save gas fees for anybody that has, the transaction occur. There has to be a gas fee that's paid for the distribution. So we don't want to do them with every transaction that occurs. So it's at a threshold. So on the Ethereum side, it has to be 0.2 FETH up to once it hits 100 FUSDT and 0.005 FBTC. And those are the thresholds for the Ethereum side. Mind you that somebody also has to do a withdrawal in order to activate the distribution from the deployer. Now on the BSC side, it's 0.2 FBNB. It's also 100 FUSDT, and it is also 0.005 FBTCB, which is the Binance Peg Bitcoin. And now we're going to get into the 7, which is the 7 rewards that you receive when you're inside of FEG Stake version 2. So when you're staking on the FEG BSC side, we talked about the 3 base pairs. So we're going to go at those again. So you have FBNB. You're getting the 0.15% that comes from all 3 base pairs from sell transactions, FBNB, FUSDT, and FBTCB. The 0.15%, your distribution of that 0.15% comes to your wallet, or into your claimable rewards, I should say. It's in the staking tab of the exchange on FEGX, and it's actually in the base pair. So you're receiving FBNB, FUSDT, or FBTCB. Now, you're also, because you're earning those rewards in FRAP form, we also have an FRAP reward system that we're going to get into later today. And that FRAP reward system is going to be giving, it has a 1% conversion fee for every transaction of buying and selling. And there's also a transfer tax of 1% and also some 0.3% tax when you're moving it back and forth in smart swaps. So we'll talk about those in just a moment. But anytime an FRAP transaction occurs, there's a 1% tax. So let's say I was going to buy FEG. I'll just use an example now since it's integrated into what we're discussing. So anytime, this is on page 8 also if you wanted to follow along with this. Anytime a transaction occurs, you have a 1% conversion fee. So let's say I wanted to buy FEG token on the Ethereum side. If I'm going to take my Ethereum, I'm going to put a buy transaction in. It's going to give me 0.99 FETH. And that FETH, that conversion from ETH to FETH, is what gives me 0.01% transaction fee, or conversion fee. And that 0.01 goes to the FRAP pool and is divided amongst the FRAP holders based on the amount, the percentage of ownership of the pool that they own. So that distribution happens every time there's a buy. There's also an unwrapping fee of 1%. So if you go from FETH to ETH, you're getting a 1% conversion fee from the total amount. So let's say I was unwrapping 1 FETH, I'd get 0.99 back myself, and 0.01 would be sent to the FRAP pool and distributed amongst the holders based on the percentage of ownership that they have. Now, all the smart DeFi tokens are also, because we mentioned earlier, are base paired against FETH and FBNB, which means that any token that comes onto smart DeFi, as well as any token that lists on FEGX, has to actually FRAP all their liquidity. And so that's going to push 1% of those rewards to the FRAP pools, which is going to feed back to come full circle back into your staking rewards. Now, back to page 4 here at the bottom. So you're earning the reflections from the FBNB rewards from the FRAP reward system. Now, outside of the FBNB from the 0.15% from the FEGX pairs and the 0.12% from all the smart DeFi pairs, you're also going to earn your FEG rewards frictionlessly directly into your staking pool amount. So however many tokens that you staked, you're going to be receiving those tokens frictionlessly and added directly into your stake without having to pay any fees. So just to recap, you're earning your FEG reflections, whether that be FEG BSC or FEG ETH, added directly into your staking pool. You're earning your FBNB on the BSC side or FETH on the ETH side, and you're earning FUSDT or FBTC and FBTCB respectively, and the reflections for all of those 3 base pairs on both chains. Again, those rewards are independent. So I'd like to give a moment to anybody to ask any questions for staking. I know it's kind of a lot of detail, so if you have any questions, please raise your hand. I'll unmute you. I don't want anybody to feel shy, like you're interrupting the flow of things. You know, I'm sure that some people have the same questions you guys have. So if anybody has a question, definitely feel free to raise your hand at any time, and I'll call on you at the next stop. So I don't have any hands raised yet, so we will continue on to page 5. There's some notes in here that are very important for your V2 staking. So I mentioned earlier, there's a 2% tax when you're moving your FEG. I apologize. I had a call come in. Let me put my phone on to airplane mode so that doesn't occur again.